Good evening and welcome to tonight's Facebook Live about living in the world at the moment with all the challenges and why it's so important to have spiritual tools, to have the knowledge of what they are, what our own particular gifts and abilities are, and how we can use them. Hi Marianne, hi Glynis, thanks for joining us. Things are becoming very complicated, as I'm sure you're all aware. Hi Amanda. We've had another mass shooting in the States over the weekend. We're all aware of what's occurring in Hong Kong, and we can feel the pressure of it coming to a head, that there's going to be some form of reaction from China, even though we don't know what it is. There's a hurricane that's battered the Bahamas and is now making its way to Florida. There's always something, it seems. Hi Maria. There's always something. And it seems that always something is getting more and more common, more and more frequent. So basically, tonight I want to talk about why it's really important that you've got a spiritual practice and that you use the tools that you've got available to you. Hi Joe, hi Anita and Karen. Good to have a group here for this conversation. When things are challenging, it's very easy to get caught up in it. It's very easy for our emotional body to be fed by all the doom and gloom that we see around us. But this is the time when we really need to be able to anchor our emotional body, to be able to feel confident that even if we don't know what the plan is, that there is a plan and that it's going to work out. As I said, we don't know what's going to happen between Hong Kong and China. We don't know how China is going to react or respond. All we know is how we can react or respond, because it's not about anyone else. Hi Doris. You know, if you're following a spiritual path, as we all are, even though we're one person, we can make a difference. Having a spiritual practice, having the tools to use, means that you, in your small corner of the world, send out positive energy, send out a calming influence. And that is why, if you do meditation, if you do some form of contemplation, you already then start to anchor a different energy. Hi Ola, hi Michelle. Nice to have you join me. What is a spiritual practice? Spiritual practice is really quite simple. It's the practice of being the best you that you know how to be. It's about the willingness to be kind instead of competitive. It's about the willingness to share instead of being exclusive. It's about being open-hearted and not closed-minded. And it's also about creating a group energy, a group dynamic, where people of like minds can come together. And by being together can make that difference. Hi Clara, nice to have you here. So a spiritual practice at a personal level, I would say, starts with meditation. But it's also about practicing how you are going to be as you go about your day-to-day. Do you smile at people? Do you compliment them? Do you think about them? Do you consider them? Or is it all about you and what you're doing and how quickly you can do it and how much you can achieve? If it's the first, then you're already creating an energy that can be counterproductive to the energy of negativity, of fear, and of drama that's being created. One of the worst things that someone with a spiritual practice can do is become a drama queen. So if you're willing to step aside from focusing only on you and being willing to look at how who you are can make a difference in the world, then that one spiritual practice is the best practice that you can develop. And if you're new, then start with meditation and get to know people of like minds. Look for groups in your area or online, although there you do have to be a bit careful. If you're going to look online for groups to join, do your research. Go and see what's being said about them from people outside the group. If you're not certain how to meditate, then daydream, because daydreaming is simply meditation with your eyes open. If you want to connect and you're already developing your spiritual practice, then look at what you can offer to your community, your local community. It's all about community. Developing your spiritual tools is about your willingness to be part of a community and to share who you are with it and allow the people in your community to share with you. We've got a few people on this Facebook Live, and if any of you have got a question, then I'm very happy to answer it, because that's the whole purpose of it. Basically, all I'm doing is sharing what I see of why it's so important. We can focus on the negatives that are happening in the world, or we can focus on how we can bring something more, something other, something positive, without making a judgment and without being critical. It's important to observe and not to judge, because if you judge, then you step into the negativity. If you observe, you can look at, well, why is that being brought to your attention? Is this something that you can tackle and make a difference with? We all have roles to play. We all have a purpose. We may not know what it is, but that purpose is there. And part of our spiritual path is to discover it. When we focus on all we can be, when we develop the best of who we are, when we're willing to be kind and compassionate, then we're making a difference in the world. It's a small difference, or so it seems to us, but everybody we impact touches someone else, who touches someone else, and out it goes. So if you want to move through the events that are occurring, instead of attaching to the actual events, look at the significance. What's significant about another shooting in the States? Again, people are losing their lives. There's anger, there's frustration. There are a group of people who want guns banned. There are a group of people that believe they need them to be safe. It's not about who's right and it's not about who's wrong. It's about the significance of what's occurring and what we can do to hold the light and to hold the energy until that's been resolved, because that's a big question in the life of a nation. It's part of the Constitution, and as part of the Constitution, it needs to be able to be discussed and challenged appropriately. It's not for people outside to judge and condemn it. With what's happening with Hong Kong and China, again, it's part of a constitutional agreement that needs to be resolved one way or the other. And we don't know all the answers. We don't need to know all the answers. But we do need to be certain that we don't become part of the problem. That we don't condemn and judge and add energy to an energy that's already overloaded. The hurricane that's currently hitting the Bahamas and is on its way to the States is a super storm hurricane. It's enormous and it's fierce. When we don't control our thoughts and our emotions, that's the kind of energy we create in our world. It may not be taking the form of a hurricane, but it's like that. It whistles around everybody. Orla says, how do we hold energy for a part of the world that we don't live in? We don't. We hold energy for the whole world. We see our planet bathed in light. And we accept that we're in the process of becoming. We haven't arrived yet. Nothing's perfect, and thank God for that, because it's about developing, and if it's perfect, it stands still. Clara says, many people here in Hong Kong now are very angry or in despair. What is the best we can do to them? Hold the light. The people that are in despair, the people that are angry, underneath it is fear. And the best way you can counter fear is through love. The more you can accept that this is part of a transition that may not be comfortable, but ultimately will occur, the more you can hold the light and send out that light and love for the whole planet, not just for Hong Kong, because similar things are happening in other countries. They're just not hitting the news. The better it is. Amanda says, can I talk about how we hold light for others? Does it start with us standing in our own? No, it begins with standing in light, not your own light, in universal light. It's connecting in meditation and seeing the light of the universe surrounding the planet, bathing it in light, and accepting that we're part of a master plan. We don't know the details, we don't know the outcome, and we don't need to. All we need to know is that all is always well, especially when we can't see how the dickens is all going to fall into place neatly. Maria asks, can we send pink bubbles to certain areas in need or best to the whole world? If you send to one area, it's creating an imbalance. If you send it to the whole world, you're not becoming judge or jury. You're not deciding who needs it more than another. So by giving to the whole world, what you do is you are inclusive, not exclusive. Being exclusive is one of the problems. Thank you, Amanda. I don't know if anyone else has a question, but this was never meant to be a long Facebook Live, as some of them have been. It was meant to be a short one to talk about some of the simple things we can do. And the simplest things are smiling at people, being kind, having a gentle word to say. Karen says, when you said to not judge and add to the already twirling energy, does it also mean not siding with, I presume, because I've lost the rest of it, Karen, not siding with one side or another? Absolutely. It's about seeing that both sides believe in what they're doing. You've only got to look at any war. The people that fight that war on each side are convinced that they're doing the right thing because that's what they've been taught, or because that's how things have developed. This is not about taking sides. If you feel strongly for one side or the other, that's different, because then you're aligned to one particular argument more than you're aligned to another. But taking sides means that you've looked at both and passed judgment. So yes, Anita, what you and I and everyone else needs to be is the peaceful eye of the storm, and try to expand that peaceful eye wider and wider until it encompasses the whole planet. We become the peace. We don't become part of the storm. Judgment will always bring about reaction. Acceptance will always bring about response. Accepting someone's right to think or feel as they do takes away judgment and provides an opportunity for conversation. And in that conversation, things may change. So, thank you. I hope this short Facebook Live's been of some interest. On Thursday, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to develop this a little bit more. So it'll be the same time Thursday. If any of you have got any questions of a more specific nature around actions we can take, things that we can do towards balancing world events, but more particularly towards balancing how we feel and stand within them, then please pop a comment on this Facebook, and we'll talk about it on Thursday. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Good night.